I think a lot of people are uncomfortable visiting people when they're sick or when they've experienced loss because they're afraid they'll say the wrong thing, or they don't know what to say. And really the secret is there is nothing that you can say to make it better. There's nothing that you can say that's going to make it go away. But the most impactful thing you can do is just go and be with them and sit and listen and serve practical needs, and just be present. We're getting closer and closer to a day when our doctors are going to say, hey, are you exercising enough? Are you eating good nutrition? Are you engaging in arts and cultural activities on a regular basis? That it has that level of impact on our health throughout our whole lifetime. It's not just for children. It's not just for professionals. You don't have to be like quote unquote talented to experience the health benefits of engaging in the arts. And there's something for everyone. Like a lot of times people put art in well, I don't like going to a museum. I don't understand the art. Or it's like, okay, well, do you like going to, like in San Antonio, we have Fiesta where we have like cultural events where there's music and dancing. Like that's it. That's arts engagement, and it's good for our health and well-being.
Boom, mic drop moment. One of my favorite segments right there on the show. And I believe this is episode 100.
Yay!
Our guest today is the founder and CEO of Hearts Need Art, creative support for patients and caregivers. As a singer, adolescent leukemia survivor, speaker, and thought leader in the field of arts and health, she is on a mission to humanize healthcare through the arts. She is the recipient of the 2018 Graceann Durr Humanitarian Award and was selected as one of the top 100 healthcare visionaries by the International Forum on Advancements in Healthcare for 2021. Her work has been featured in various publications such as ThriveGlobal, Authority Magazine, Ticker News, National Association of Teachers of Singing, and she's been on the cover of MD News magazine. Welcome to the show, co-host of Arts for the Health of It podcast, Constanza Roeder.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
I'm winded. I'm going to go take a nap. I'll be... I tried to get that out. I'm like, I know I understand when people sing and they got to take that breath in between like this 18th chorus, you know, it's like, holy smokes. Hopefully that sounded as good as it really was meant to be, because what I love about your bio is, you know, and this is not a knock on my other guests, but sometimes people have a collective of like amazing things they've done. And sometimes it's like, you know, 1986, 1997, 2001, 2014, and it's all impressive. But this is like 2021. You're kicking, you know what? You're crushing it right now. Like, this is super relevant. Anybody tuning in, we're actually recording this in September, which is notable because we're, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we're talking to Constanza, who's a leukemia survivor, and as we're recording this, it's September. It's Child Cancer Awareness Month, right?
And Blood Cancer Awareness Month. And it's my birthday month. So it's like a big month for me.
When is your birthday?
The 27th.
Oh my God, that's like, you know, that's awesome. Yeah. I got to come circle back around and remember that. That actually is funny. I think this episode is coming out on your birthday.
Woo! Oh, that's exciting. Well, happy birthday to me as I'm listening to this.
I love unplanned stuff like that. Yeah, I was actually looking at the rotation, and when I was preparing for the whole September cancer awareness, I was like, we're going to talk about it, and it's relevant because we're recording it in September. I'm like, but that doesn't do us any good if this comes out in October, November. And sometimes I have episodes that come out like 60 days later because of the lineup. And I was like, let me see if I can juggle and get it to come. And it just happened to be that the slot that this is supposed to be. I also believe, don't hold me to this if you guys are listening and it's not accurate, I think it's going to be the 100th episode.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I feel so honored.
Your top 100, it's your birthday. Let's just pretend it's your birthday when we record it.
All right. Let's do it.
Guys, you could check out and connect with Constanza on LinkedIn. She's active on Instagram. I love her videos, her positive content on there. Also, her website, constanzaroeder.com and heartsneedart.org. You're truly incredible. And thank you again for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I'm going to do this. We're going to go right back to an immediate callback to your intro. What exactly, you mentioned it here, and I know you covered it before. What exactly does it mean to humanize healthcare through the arts?
Yeah, that's a great question. So to maybe explain this, we have to talk about what dehumanization is. So dehumanization is when there's a system or a setting or set of people that are treating a person without taking into account all the aspects of what it is to be human, creating an environment that is ignoring one or another aspect of a person's humanness. When you come into a hospital, have to take off all of your personal clothes. They give you kind of an ugly looking gown that you have to wear. You have people
coming. It's not real friendly. It's not comfortable.
Right. It's not super comfortable. The interactions are very much centered around your physical stats, how many bowel movements you've had, what your hemoglobin is, all of the.
Yeah, you wouldn't meet someone at a networking event and ask them some of these questions, right?
Right. When was the last time you had a bowel movement? And those are obviously important things for in healthcare when you're taking care of someone's health. But one of the things that is central and really is one of those things that makes us human is creativity in the arts. And the arts are an essential piece of being human. And I believe they should be an essential piece in the places that we treat humans. That when we leave that part out, when the environment doesn't honor that part of us being human, that we're really not creating an environment conducive to healing, to wellness, to well-being.
And it doesn't always need to be like directly separated. Like now we're going to have art class, wheel out the squeaky cart, beep, 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 with the goofy wheel. Like it doesn't have to be like that. Like I'm thinking of Billy Madison with the art teacher where like she's like eating paste and it's got to be all weird. It doesn't, like, a lot of times people think like, ooh, art and business and hospitals and this, we're serious in here. We're not allowed to have fun. It doesn't have to be like this line in the sand. It just means like it has more personality and character and the room is warmer.
Sure.
And, I know for kids' hospitals, a lot of times they wear fun outfits, which is cool. They might have characters on there. The white robes are a little bit more fun for kids. There's pictures on the wall, stuff like that. But it could be even more like in the waiting room. Does it have to be, sterile, yes, in a clean environment, but sterile meaning like just like kind bare. Of plain Jane or bare, or feel like, you're being taken into an examination room and questions like you're in the, police station or something. Like it's supposed to, it should really just feel like you're going in to get taken care of, right?
Yeah, and one of the interesting things about the award you mentioned that I received this year, Top 100 Healthcare Visionaries. When I went to receive the award, I got to talk with other leaders in healthcare, and one of the big issues that people were facing across the board that everyone was kind of discussing how to address is the issue of compliance. Like they have the right answer, or they know what people need to do, whether it's the medicine or lifestyle shifts or all these things, but they're not doing it, darn it. And like, why aren't they doing it? And
it sounded great in a board meeting. Everybody agreed to it. Rah, rah, let's do it. We'll make this place more colorful. We'll add some music into what we do.
It's not that. Yeah, and I wish that the topic was around how do we make things more colorful. It's about how do we get people to take their meds. And here's just a good example about what happens when you humanize healthcare through the arts. So this happens actually pretty frequently when we're on the units. The referrals we often get the most from the healthcare staff are when patients are being belligerent or non-compliant, or they're angry with their healthcare staff, they'll come and find us and ask us to go in. And so, for example, there was this one time when a nurse came and found me and she's like, look, we have this bone marrow transplant patient that is refusing to take a shower. And this is actually essential for their well-being. Like taking daily showers helps reduce incidents of infection and things like that when people are staying in the hospital. And he had been refusing to take a shower for several days. And at this point, he had thrown everyone out of his room. He wasn't letting any of the healthcare staff in. And so they came to me and they're like, could you maybe see if he might like to hear a song? Maybe he'll let you in.
Cheer this guy up. Break him down a little bit so we can come in there.
Yeah. So I went in and he did let me in and we sang some of his favorite tunes and he was beat-bopping along and smiling and having a great time and thanked me for coming. And I left and a little bit later he let the nurses back in and let them give him a shower.
Well, the most important thing I feel that you did was you connected with the guy because everybody was telling him what he had to do, how he had to do it, when he had to do it. And just like children, adults, we are connectors, we're relators, we feel the room. It's humans are energy. And, if you tell someone to take a medicine or take some medicine in a particular way, the way you say it, the posture you have, the stance you have, the argument you had 5 minutes earlier, it's all about like the timing, the energy, the relationship, the connectivity. And all you did was you just connected with the guy, made him feel good. And his guard was down maybe, but it wasn't like, unnatural. You were just naturally going in there doing that. And if he wanted to do what he needed to do after, that was still up to him.
Yes.
Nobody came in and handcuffed him and threw medicine down his throat. I hope that didn't happen.
No, that didn't happen.
Didn't sound like that happened. But but that's what I'm saying is you connected with him.
Sure. And that touches on a really good point. I think something that happens a lot when people are going through a traumatic experience, which like all of the people that we're working with in the hospital are, there are a couple of things. One thing that happens when we're going through that experience is we often put up armor. So you talked about he let his walls down, right? So the armor goes up to protect us. We're scared. Feel vulnerable. So we put up these walls, right? And sometimes those walls can be a little bit prickly. And what music does is it can flow around and through the cracks in the armor and caress the person that is behind the armor in a way that disarms. It really is a short circuit for connection. And it can happen so quickly. And even with visual arts, we have artists that go in and, for instance, paint murals on a patient's window that patient says, oh, I really love fishing. That's what I miss the most being in the hospital. So they'll paint like a fishing scene. And so then the next time a healthcare worker comes in, they'll be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like, what is that? And then they'll be like, oh, well, I love fishing and blah, blah, blah. So it creates these natural moments of connection within the whole community. So the healthcare staff feels more connected to the patients feel more connected to the healthcare staff, and the patients are having that experience of feeling seen and heard and loved, which is that we know is one of the most important protectants against trauma. Like when people are experiencing trauma, if they feel like they're not alone in that trauma, they tend to have better outcomes.
Yeah. I think it all connects together. It's like everybody has to be on the same page to make sure, like you said, the compliance factor of it, right? Like everything you just talked about sounds great to me, but then it's getting the buy-in, and it's actually buy-in step one. Two is like the execution of the actions behind it. Like everybody can agree it's a good idea. That still doesn't mean it happens. So I think it's really, really cool that you articulated it so we understand a little bit more about what it is that you do and how you do it. We'll get into that in even more detail in a couple questions. What I want to do is I teased it a little bit at the top, talking about September, childhood cancer awareness. You mentioned blood cancer, leukemia is something we talk about 12 months out of the year, but we're going to specifically talk about that today on the show. It has a huge place in my heart. I just wanted to share this with you and the audience. It's I mean, I know you were a warrior who battled leukemia when you were younger. I want to hear about that in a minute. My little cousin, actually, he just turned 3. He's been battling leukemia and recently took his last treatment. So he's going to be ringing the bell. He's going to be ringing the bell in October. So I just bought a T-shirt for him to celebrate that I saw his mom post on Facebook last night. So super relevant. Like as I was preparing for this interview, that I was seeing that post and I'm like, oh my God, I got to bring this up on the show. So he's doing well. And also I had a scare when my daughter was really young. I think she was like infant, not even 1 year old yet. And she was having an issue where her white blood count was really high.
Ooh, yeah.
And, of course, that's kind of one of the telling signs. It doesn't necessarily like white blood count. Okay, you have leukemia. It's not that direct of a correlation, but it is underlying concern. And the main reason why it was concerning for us as parents and what the doctors were pointing out is that it wasn't going away. Like we had multiple visits where they tested. And it was an extended time, and it was around it was Thanksgiving, probably about 5 years ago. And we were told as parents, like, this could be really what's going on right now. I don't know if you want to tell your family. It's like Thanksgiving. So we decided like not to until we actually knew. Why get everybody worked up? And then thankfully we went in and we found out that it went back to normal levels, her white blood count. So we don't know what it was. I mean, if we did know what it was not anything we needed to be worried about big picture. It just, she might've had an infection or something that went away, Her mother also was my ex-wife. We were happily married for 6 years, and when all this was going on, things were good. So when we went in, like she had some white blood count going on, like during pregnancy, which is normal. And then after the pregnancy, it didn't seem to go back to normal quickly. So I think that was all part of it. They didn't know if it was connected, or if Laura had something. So I know what it feels like being in that room, having doctors come into you in that whisper voice where they're giving you some serious information. And I'm just thinking, like, in your head, you start to think of like how your life is going to be so different, and how like you're going to be living, hospital visit to hospital visit, and like how nothing in my world mattered at all in that moment. It was all like how Isabel can get taken care of and what can I do to help her. And so I get it. So I want you to, with that extra long setup there, unintentionally, talk to the parents listening right now, and also, or watching us on YouTube, and also the children that are going through treatment. So either they have kids that are going through treatments, or their children. I mean, kids can be listening to this podcast as well, or they're a little bit older kids too. Maybe they're feeling down and out, right? They've been through multiple treatments. They've been in and out. They're put through the ringer, long recovery, and that just seems to be dragging them down. Maybe their spirits are extremely low. What would you like to say to them right now in particular?
That's such a big question. I think a lot of people are uncomfortable visiting people when they're sick or when they've experienced loss because they're afraid they'll say the wrong thing, or they don't know what to say. And really the secret is there is nothing that you can say to make it better. There's nothing that you can say that's going to make it go away. But the most impactful thing you can do is just go and be with them and sit and listen and serve practical needs, and just be present. And then that helps people feel less alone. I know when I was going through treatment there, as from a kid's perspective, as a teenager, I was going through an experience that none of my peers could relate to. So it was a very isolating experience. So if you're feeling that way, and you can feel that way as a parent as well, you feel like how is normal life happening around me? Like when nothing about my life feels normal. You're not alone in feeling that way, and it's normal to feel that way. And when you are upset, it's okay to scream at the wall and be angry and let that all out. And then find people that love you and lean into them. and ask for help when you need it. Like, you don't have to be strong or be positive all the time. That's not necessary.
It's
And
not a sign of weakness. It's a
yeah,
sign
absolutely
of
not.
being a human, and there's so many people out there
Yep.
that want to help. And
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's something that parents have, that like that complex of, and it's normal. Like, I've done it, where you kind of feel like, no, I got to figure this out, and I don't need to bring my neighbors or friends or people I'm working with into it. But the truth is, people want to help us out,
Mm-hmm.
and there's people like yourself that are designed to help people out, and then also, um, the resources are there,
Mm-hmm.
designed to make sure that people aren't going through this alone,
Yeah.
whether it's a single parent or couples, and a lot of times there's isolation too.
Mm-hmm.
So
There's lots of support groups out there, and most of them are online right now. So it's very accessible for people to connect with other people that are going through a similar situation. So,
what about for the kids that are maybe just feeling like, they're not able to play with the other kids and stuff like that? Anything you would recommend just to give them some words of encouragement?
Hmm. Hmm. It sucks.
Yeah.
um,
It's a real thing. Like, it's okay to not be okay, right?
Yeah, it sucks, and it sucks to feel like you're watching other people go through, like, live life the way you should be living life, if you weren't sick. Um, I guess the encouragement I would offer is, while it sucks right now, like, take it all in, and because everything that you're experiencing, every pain, like, there's no tear that is wasted in the economy of our lives. And in many ways, I'm so grateful that I went through that experience as a young person, because it gave me a perspective at a young age that most people don't gain until middle age or older. And I know to never wait to tell people how much I love them and care for them. And I know that there's that there's so much in our world that just is, can I use the cuss word?
Sure.
There's
Sure.
so much in the world that's just bullshit, and, like, doesn't
Yeah.
matter, that people spend their energy on. And you've got this inside perspective of what makes life really worth living and what is really meaningful, because you're really stripped down to the bare bones of what life is. So lean into that. Like, I know it hurts. Find those people that are willing to sit with you. Like, I had good friends that would sit with me after treatment, and they would try to distract me or cheer me up or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was really sweet, and that was super helpful. So, like, lean into those relationships in your life.
So much good there that I want to make sure we don't. I always like to sit in the moment
Mm.
on the show. And here's the great thing: I'm the producer of the show, so I could stay right here. I don't have to ask the other questions prepared. We don't have to go to commercial break right now. I'm not on network TV where there's like a producer having a seizure because we didn't get to the next commercial. I want to stay right there because you hit on so many things. I think going back to your point on, you don't have to worry about saying the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just being present, just like the guy that needed a little laugh, that was
Mm-hmm.
having a hard time, and he was he was really tight because he wasn't like, the environment he was in didn't allow him to get comfortable. So comfort doesn't have to be like saying the right thing at the right
Mm-hmm.
time with the right people. It just, I have, unfortunately, my friend's father passed away, and I lost my dad passed away in December. So he came to our, the wake for my dad, and he was a high school friend. So I would have naturally went to his dad passing away tonight. So the wake is tonight, and I'm thinking, it's been rolling through my head all day. What do I say to my friend? I know I went through it, but I don't want to make this about me. I can relate to him and talk to him about it, but I was before I even interviewed you today, I was thinking, like, Mike, just knock it off. Just go there, feel what he wants to talk about. I'm just a mirror. Like, just be be able to shine back on him whatever he needs, the light that he needs in the moment, and don't try to say the right thing, because that's when it gets.
Yeah.
You ever been to a wake and someone's like, well, we're just going to only celebrate life today. And it's like overkill. It's like, I know what you're doing. I know what
Toxic
you're saying.
positivity. Mm-hmm.
You're like, yeah, you're like, guys, it's okay to not be okay. Like I said earlier, meaning live in the moment, and like you need to mourn it because you don't just get through it without that process.
Totally.
So it's okay. It's okay. It's not okay to stay there forever, but it's okay to hurt, like you said. And I just want to make sure I hit on the other point that I felt when you said it was like no tear necessarily goes to waste, or however you defined it. But I agree with that. And talking to the kids right now and the parents, like anything you've gone through, the hardships in life, they start to turn you into the person that you become, like in a way that you learn through those experiences. There's a quote I actually picked up from my church service last weekend, and it says, "Your past doesn't disqualify you; it prepares you." I think that's part of this. I do feel like if you look at things through the lens of it happened for you, not to you, you can then use your horrible situation in a way to help others later. Not that anybody would sign up and say, I want leukemia so I can learn and have
No.
some things that can help me be a better person. But the thing is, if you have it in the moment, you're not physically able to do anything to change that today. So all I'm saying to the kids right now is like, realize that in some special, unique way, your situation right now can help you help others. And I know you would change it for anything right now. You would exchange it for anything, right? But the thing is, you're going through it, and think about how whatever it is that you're learning and the tough things that you're going through can actually shape you into a better human being that can help others that without the experience you wouldn't have been able to do. And that's really the only way you can look at it, you know?
Yeah. And you mentioned faith, and I think that's a really important component of the experience, whether people want it to be or not, because the people around them are maybe saying, Christianese platitudes, or are praying for them, like all that. I think it's always part of that experience, or very often. And there's this saying that gets thrown around a lot, that God will never give you more than you can handle. And I think people quote that thinking it's from scripture, but it's not. It's actually a misquote, which I won't get into, but over and over, like, so if you are a person of faith and you're trying to encourage people, like, please don't say that, because in the Bible, like, there's example after example of times when God absolutely allowed something to come into someone's life that's more than they could handle, so that they could realize and come to know that there's nothing that he can't handle, that we don't have to be strong, that he is strong, and we can rest in his love. So when you are in those dark moments, when you feel like everything is pointless and it hurts so bad, in those moments, in my experience, was when I experienced the love of God the most, and were some of the most precious times and precious memories of my life. Were times when I was hospitalized for pain one time, when I was in so much pain, I couldn't even see or open my eyes. It just was fully consuming me. And in that, like, deep pain, the love of God was even deeper. And I was never alone through the fiercest fire. So you never have to walk through anything alone.
Wow. I have like goosebumps just listening to you say that, because I know it's difficult. The hardest thing I still deal with thinking about this is innocent children who have sickness, who are born with illnesses. And like, I know people say, well, if God is real, why would he do this? And I don't know. We don't know how or why. I do know there's more than one side of it. I know there's things that we're combating, whether, it's the devil or a different forces of evil. But I do believe in that too, because I will tell you, I don't want to hang on this too much. I'm happy to talk about it, but I have a lot more that I do want to unpack with your story. And I know we have about 15 minutes to do that. What I will say is, whenever I feel like I do get stronger in my faith, I want to get this out on the airways, if you will, is that's when I always feel like I get pulled down, or like past things come back and try to get me. Like my armor needs to, like, the stronger I build my armor, the bigger the tanks are trying to knock down the wall. And that's crazy. That, like, to me shows that, and the thing is, like, the devil doesn't necessarily come after those who are, I forget the exact saying or how it's written in the Bible, but basically, like, if you're just kind of lost in your faith, I feel you're not necessarily a target because you're not a threat. You're not really a threat. You're not somebody who's putting up a strong armor. And I feel like a lot of times those that are do end up getting hit a little bit harder, and you got to be prepared for it. So that's something I personally can speak to. It's not conspiracy. It's not something I read. It's how I feel. It's experiences I've had. So does that necessarily say real? I mean, I can tell you what I believe and I can tell you what I feel in my heart. So just riffing off of that real quick. What I do have to do or want to do is take a quick break, give us a breather here. We're gonna jet for just 60 seconds, guys. So don't run away. We're gonna be right back with Constanza. So stay right there. Podcasting is a great way to engage with your audience and stay consistently relevant. The only problem is you don't have the time or desire to produce your own show. You simply want it done for you. And that's where Social Chameleon comes in. All you need to do is press record and upload the files. We'll handle the rest. From planning, production, post-production, distribution, and digital marketing, we have you covered. We realize that times are tough and funds are tight. And Social Chameleon believes in building supportive business relationships. By clicking on the link in this promo, we'll provide you 7 free podcasting tips to get started, as well as a free 30-minute online consultation. This is the perfect opportunity for entrepreneurs, keynote speakers, industry experts, influencers, and anybody who has a personal brand. With Social Chameleon, we help you build a brand that is out of this world. We're ready and waiting, so what are you waiting for? Click on the link to get started today. All right, we're back in action with Constanza Roeder. You guys can connect with her on social media. I made all the links clickable in the show notes. She's active on LinkedIn and Instagram. And Constanza, any other places you want to hit on with your social that people can check you out?
I'm also on TikTok, where it's just at Constanza Roeder, where I share about ways that people can improve their health and well-being through the arts. And then I also share other antics from my life. And that's my favorite platform right now, I think.
Okay. I'm on there. I need to be more active personally and definitely post, but I'll definitely check out your content.
Sure.
I love it. We were talking about earlier that your awards and what you're doing, everything is very relevant. And here you are, you're like, what are you talking about these other platforms?
Facebook ? I mean, I'm on those other things too, but there's so much creativity.
Go TikTok.
There's so much creativity in life happening on TikTok. It's a fun community.
It is. It is. I have a problem, and I think this, I don't want to speak for everyone, but where you get too locked into it.
Oh, for
it
sure.
You do
have to put a timer on your phone. Just
timer on the phone. I mean, now that YouTube has them, it's really bad. Like they have the shorts, which I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
But man, I go to YouTube to check to see, make sure my videos post or whatever. And man, there's going to be 20 minutes gone because I just happen to do that. And now we're talking about it. And we're wasting valuable. I'm wasting valuable time with you as we speak, talking about it.
It's all good.
Here's what I want you to do. Toot your horn for a couple minutes. I'm going to give you hey, you're allowed to do this. I know you're humble, but I want you to do this. Tell us about the Graceann Durr Humanitarian Award that you won, and also being listed top 100 in healthcare visionary. That's amazing by International Forum. So you don't earn either of those by accident. Can you share more about the work that you're doing?
Sure. So I'll kind of give my story in a nutshell. The arts were a really essential part of my healing through my experience in being treated for my leukemia. I had 130 weeks of chemo. So most of my high school experience, I was on treatment. And then after I finished treatment, there's all the emotional fallout happens in the years following treatment, which is sometimes harder than the treatment itself. And during those periods, the arts were really important to me. And I had access to the arts as a pediatric and adolescent survivor. And then when I moved to, I finished treatment, went to college, studied music, and then moved to from California, where I grew up, to San Antonio, Texas, where I live now. And I wanted to volunteer in some capacity in cancer world. And I found actually an adult oncology unit to volunteer on, and I'd never been even in an adult hospital before or on an adult unit. And I walked onto the unit at what is one of the top hospitals in the country, and I was like, "Whoa, this is not the same. There's something very different here. There's no activities, there's no art, there's no any of that." And patients were living on that unit for months at a time sometimes and couldn't even leave the floor, and there was nothing to do. And I just knew it didn't have to be that way. So it started in, I guess, 2009. I started just going room to room and singing for patients at the bedside. And I was an active performer, so I'd bring like castmates in and we'd do like little shows on the unit for the patients. And it just infused so much life, and it's amazing what happens when you bring just a little bit of beauty into a place like that. Anyway, so I did that for many years as a volunteer, and then in 2016 I incorporated my nonprofit Hearts Need Art Creative Support for Patients and Caregivers as an organization here in San Antonio, because I kept getting requests that people wanted it more. They wanted it every day, and they wanted visual arts, they wanted writing, and they wanted movement. Like, they wanted all these things that I didn't know how to do, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to like find people and hire them. And one of our core values as well is paying artists, creating meaningful economic opportunities for local artists in our community. So we hired our first visual artist at the beginning of 2017, and we've had many artists and musicians come through our program to provide art classes and art at the bedside and writing and window painting in the patients' rooms, things like that. And these were services that I was able to mobilize resources from the community and donations and grants and things to bring these to hospitals, because these services aren't reimbursable by insurance yet. And so that makes it more challenging for healthcare organizations to fully fund these types of programs.
It limits your audience of who is going to be able to get the program.
Yeah.
It has to be a really financially strong organization to say, yeah, we could add this to the mix.
Yeah.
Opposed to knowing they're going to get insurance funding. And
Yeah. So we were doing a lot of innovation in the field during COVID. And I think all of that momentum, I think, built up to being recognized for especially the most recent award. And our podcast, we started our podcast, Arts for the Health of It, where we talk to researchers and artists and doctors and just regular people who use the arts to promote health and well-being. And so we teach other people how to use the arts to promote their health and well-being, because a lot of people don't know that that's actually an important piece of our health and well-being. And we're getting closer and closer to a day when our doctors are going to say, hey, are you exercising enough? Are you eating good nutrition? Are you engaging in arts and cultural activities on a regular basis? That it has that level of impact on our health throughout our whole lifetime. It's not just for children. It's not just for professionals. You don't have to be like quote unquote talented to experience the health benefits of engaging in the arts. And there's something for everyone. Like, a lot of times people put art in well, I don't like going to a museum. I don't understand the art. Or it's like, okay, well, do you like going to, like in San Antonio, we have Fiesta, where we have like cultural events where there's music and dancing. Like that's arts engagement, and it's good for our health and well-being.
Boom, mic drop moment. One of my favorite segments right there on the show. And I believe this is episode 100.
Yay!
So what's a better... I'm a musician myself. I grew up playing the drums.
Awesome.
So whenever you're talking about arts and music, I'm just over here
giddy.
Like,
it's like a dot. Like whenever I talk with other artists and musicians, they get it, because that's how we use the arts to heal ourselves. And so we get that. I don't usually have to explain it to them. It's people who at some point in their life, someone has told them that they couldn't draw or they couldn't sing or they were bad at dancing. And this thing that's inherent in us at a young age, I have a 1-year-old and you turn on music and he's dancing. It doesn't matter. He doesn't care if it's good or not. He has no concept of that.
Nobody told him what to do. He just felt
does it.
And it's, so to me, and I know we're literally like, oh, we don't, you have to go at the top, or do we
I have a little bit of wiggle room. we can
wiggle room,
yeah.
Some squeeze time. I got like 2 more questions I want to get on.
Go for it.
I think really good for our audience. But I just want to say, music, it's an art in general. It's an international language. You don't have to understand, speak English, speak Spanish, speak Italian, whatever it is, to connect to it. You feel it. And the thing about music when I was a kid, and I see it in my 6-year-old daughter now, I put something down with a great groove, a good beat. We don't know the lyrics half the time. My favorite band's the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily seek out what Anthony Kiedis is talking about. I know I've read his book. I love his story, and I love the bands. Like, they actually are very intellectually interesting people. They're not just a bunch of crazy guys jumping around on stage with, what back in the day as their only garment that they'd wear, right? There's a lot more to them, and why I say that is, like, the way the music makes me feel is what's most important, not what they're saying or talking about this. So I just see my daughter. I'll put good music on in the car. I look back and see how she's reacting to it, and she's feeling it. One of our favorite songs to sing together is "Let Love Rule" by Lenny Kravitz.
Oh, nice. Okay,
yes,
I approve of your music choices for your your kid.
And a lot of times I'll put like the karaoke Chili Peppers on, so I don't have to worry about what they're singing about, because sometimes it's not appropriate.
Sure.
Definitely. But so we make up our own stuff. I'll just sing about what we're doing going to grandma's house.
That's
and
so
just
great.
Like add it into the words. And she makes up, then she takes a verse. Like, we literally ping pong songs back and forth. And
that's great.
What's great about it for me is, like, like it makes me proud to see her like developing, and that shows her character, because she could be very shy. But it just, like, it's a great bonding tool for us. And if she shows more interest in it, I can eventually teach her the drums more, or a different instrument. But to me, it's like, it's just fun, and it's good to see her creative juices flowing.
Totally.
And I think that's great for anybody. And I could talk to you for another hour about different patients that, where music like just changed them. And you actually told the story. I didn't have to ask the question. You brought up the story about that guy that was very hesitant, who ended up through arts and culture and music, just got it. So I want to make sure that didn't go unnoticed. I also always say on my show, be great, be grateful. It's my mic'd up mug. Gratitude is super important to me. I always am mindful to start the day and end the day in gratitude. And you actually have a really cool program called the Gratitude Gram Program. So please take at least 30 seconds to tell us about it.
Sure. Okay. 30 seconds. So
however long you have.
So during the pandemic, we shifted our whole program virtual, like so many, because we couldn't be in the hospital with patients. And also during that time, we were trying really hard to figure out how to support healthcare workers, because we knew the strain on them was really intense. And we struggled with what to do, because they don't have time to like go to like an arts retreat or like do anything extra in their day, because they're already overburdened. So at the beginning of the year, we had this idea. We're like, okay, what if we combine gratitude with the arts? So we created the Gratitude Grams program. And what happens is, when a healthcare worker enrolls, which if you're a healthcare worker and you're interested in this, you can go to heartsneedart.org and enroll. It's totally free. And we match you with one of our musicians, writers, artists, and they send you regular emails, personalized emails with a message of thanks, often from someone in our community that's written into us and sent us a note to share with healthcare workers. And then they combine that in a video with a song or a like just a quick little art doodle that you can do on a little pad of paper, or an inspiring poem, just something to kind of shift your focus, to take a little moment. And these are like 3 to 5 minute videos that they can listen to anytime. So sometimes they're listening to the gratitudegrams on the floor. Sometimes they're listening to them when they get home. But this has been a really impactful program, and our healthcare workers report that they feel more appreciated, that they get a boost in their mood, they feel more hopeful, they feel more energized. And now that we're able to be back in the hospital, we're bringing these gratitudegrams live to them as well. So now we're going throughout the hospitals and bring a musician to the nurses station, having them play music, and then recite one of these messages of gratitude.
So it's both live and virtual?
So now it's both live and virtual. Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I was researching, it seemed like, obviously, I don't know if it was pandemic driven, but because of the situation we're all in, that it was more virtual. Kind of like it seems like Cameo, but with a more heartfelt twist, and not just like paying a celebrity to be like, hey, James, happy birthday. I know it's your 40th birthday, and I really wanted to say it's great to get to know you. And like,
yeah, well, and
that was $200 well spent. But here it's actually a musician who like, do they get to know the story of who they're singing a song for? And
sometimes the healthcare workers that are enrolled are more passive listeners, but they're encouraged to submit requests of songs or any type of like project they might like to do, and then our musicians will honor those requests for them. So some of our musicians have built a rapport with the people enrolled in the program, which has been really cool.
How often do you warm up the pipes and actually chime in?
How often do I sing now?
Do you join in? Yeah.
I record them. I recorded more in the very beginning, and then of course, like
you set the example,
writing.
right?
Yeah, we had to like.
You just say like, hey, if I'm doing it, you guys can do it too.
Yeah.
Now, what if we want to tune into your music, including myself? Like, do you have somewhere? Is there a separate YouTube channel for your music?
Oh, where you can hear me. So I do have a song that I released as a single. It's on Spotify. It's under Constanza Aileen. Aileen is my middle name. The song's called
Let's run that. We're gonna run that right now.
No. The song's called
behind the outro. Okay, we're running it right now.
Yeah, there you go. And then also I was in a duo group, and we released an EP of Christmas music called.
Nice.
Gosh, it was so many years ago. Look up Unexpected Cure. You'll find
Unexpected Cure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very cool. Put you on the spot there. I didn't know I was going to do that, but
no one's asked me that yet in an interview, so you're the first.
Well, I'm more interested in the person first, and all the cool stuff comes as part of the story.
Sure.
And then at the very end, it's like the product service thing that people can tune into, because that's important. But I did not sign up to be a podcaster to be an infomercial
right.
Guy who's sitting there like selling a product and bringing people on and like, hey, sell your product, because that's not necessarily what we want to do. But at the same time, it's important to make sure when someone connects and they really like someone or what they're doing, then I make it easily accessible to go to that resource.
And if I could give an infomercial, our healthcare workers it's really dismal right now. There's was already a nursing shortage before the pandemic, and people are fleeing the healthcare field because they're burned out. Like with this Delta wave, it's they're at the breaking point. And so if you want to encourage healthcare workers, you can go to our website and click on the Get Involved tab, and you can actually write one of those notes to a healthcare worker, and we'll include that in our gratitudegram program. And then, of course, if you want to donate to support any of the work that we're doing, you can do that on our website as well.
Incredible. Again, guys, it's all clickable too, so make it really easy so you don't have to worry about trying to type it all in. The sites, again, if you guys are listening to this, it's ConstanzaRoeder.com, and it's Roeder for the last name, and then it's heartsneedart.org. And last question is a quick 3-parter.
Okay.
As I always say, be great and be grateful. And there's many questions I didn't get to because we really flowed well in conversation today. What are the 3 things right now in the moment, don't overthink it, that you're most grateful for?
Oh, I'm thankful for my husband. I can't do any of the things that I do without him and his support. I'm grateful for my son. He's just the biggest joy and delight in our life. And I'm grateful for my team in Hearts Need Art. They have endured so much this past year and have we've gone through like 15 different pivots over the last year and a half, and they've just been there every step of the way because they're so committed to the mission and the work that we're doing and serving people when they're hurting. And it's just the most inspiring. They're the most inspiring people to be around, and I'm so grateful for them.
That's awesome. Very nice. Always good to get back to like the why we do all this stuff, right? You're a fun person. This is one of the more fun interviews I had. Just I always say like a great dancing partner. I mean, you're a podcaster, so that part of it was fun.
Yeah.
You have this like really interesting, cool background. It almost looks like there's an art gallery behind you.
Yeah.
What are we looking at here?
Well, so this is my music room, so I record in here and stuff. And so instead of doing like ugly like soundproofing paneling, I found like these heavy velvet curtains, and so they're on all the walls in my room.
You sound really good, so they're working. I thought those were maybe like ornaments hanging down. Or something.
Yeah, I know it looks a little bit Christmassy, but no, they're just appliques. And then I have, that's my award. Because, I don't have any other places to put it. No big deal. I'll put it there, and then art and whatever. Anyway, I try to make it pretty.
Show that award real quick.
Huh?
Let's see it.
Oh, my
Let's see the award. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
You got to get it even more top front and center because I couldn't tell what it was. Yeah. No, that's cool, though. That's great.
Yeah, it was very cool.
All right, I'm going to let you run because I know you're like 10 minutes behind.
It's all good.
As I am. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Number one, for our audience, and two, to connect. You have a friend here. I'm a phone call away. Let's use this thing,
Thanks, Mike.
more so than just hearting a post here and there. I will do that as well. But if you ever need anything, give me a shout, and I plan on continuing to be someone that's in your corner whenever you need me. So
thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Of course.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Bye.
I'd like to give a huge shout out to everyone for tuning in, especially those who listen all the way to the end to hear this message. Seriously, I appreciate you, and my guests do as well. Giving a quick reminder to subscribe to this show. It's completely free and will allow you to receive notifications when new episodes are released. If you'd like to provide a tip as a gift, you can do so via patreon.com/mikedup. It's spelled MIKED up. Patreon.com/mikedup. You can give as little as $1 per month or as much as you'd like. Every dollar is greatly appreciated and completely unexpected. Appreciate your reviews and your messages coming in on social as well. Keep them coming. Your feedback is valuable and absolutely means the world to me. You can check out more episodes and content at mikeduppodcast.com. We're powered by Social Chameleon. You can also follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active, and it's at Mike DiCioccio, MIKEDICIOCCIO. Thank you so much for your continued support. You guys know what to do. Be great and be grateful.